So we'll start with introductions. So my name is Sophie. I'm the Programmes Director at Cornwall Community Foundation. So I look after all of our grant making and very pleased to be talking about Young and Talented today. Francis, do you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Francis Baring and I'm the Grants Officer and I have responsibility for the Young and Talented Fund. So I'm responsible for processing applications and taking them to panel, and then responsible for making payments if you are awarded a grant at the end of the process. That's me.
And Sarah?
I'm Sarah Waller. I'm the Programme Coordinator for Young and Talented Cornwall, and I work alongside Sophie and Francis, and I help to support a lot of the mentoring that happens as part of both the Creative Writing Programme and the Spirit of Trevithick STEM Programme.
Great, thanks both. I will move on to our first slide. We've got someone waiting lobby where we're great.
Someone just come through. Yeah.
Great. So session today, we are going to be looking at a bit the history and context for Young and Talented. Where did we come from? Why are we here? What are our fund aims? So what do we hope to achieve through our Young and Talented funds? Who can apply? What can you apply for? We'll look at the application timeline and the process involved, some top tips, support available to you, as well as a little bit of information about our gala presentation coming up later this year. And then, as I said, at the end, we'll have some time for questions. So please hold on to your questions and we'll get to those at the end. So a bit of context on the history of Young and Talented. So it was first launched in 2005, so we're just coming up to our 20-year anniversary, which is fantastic. It was first set up as the Lord Lieutenant's Fund for Youth by the then Lord Lieutenant Lady Mary Holbrow and Vice Lord Lieutenant Michael Goldsworthy. And the aim was to inspire and support exceptional ability in Cornwall's young people. So it's now known as Young and Talented Cornwall, and it's headed by the Lord Lieutenant of Cornwall, Colonel Edward Belitho. And it strives to help these young people who have demonstrated an outstanding talent in a particular field. So that could be sports, arts, science, voluntary service and enterprise, but who are perhaps struggling to achieve their full ambitions due to a lack of resources. So ultimately, we believe that every talented young person in Cornwall deserves the chance to fulfil their potential, regardless of their financial circumstances. So that's why we're here and what we're set up to do through the Young and Talented Funds. So we'll just start with some key decisions, looking at that timeline. The application deadline is the end of July, so you've got a few more weeks to get your applications in, and then they are assessed by our assessors, and then you get that grant decision early October. And then as soon as we've made the decision, we try and process that payment as quickly as possible so that you can get on with the fantastic work that you are up to. So we'll just look at these individual funds. So the first is our All Talent Fund. So that could be any talent. As I previously said, that could be sports, arts, voluntary service, anything that you're fantastic at, and that is for 14 to 23-year-olds, and it's £500 to £2,000. Really, we're looking for some really exceptional talent. So we've had some amazing past applicants who've gone on to be Olympians and represent Cornwall. So we'll come into a little bit more detail on that in a bit. We then have our Creative Writing Award. So that is for 16 to 23-year-olds, and it's £1,000 plus, and including mentorship. So that's particularly talented young writers, and it could be writing of any field, could be an aspiring novelist, poet, screenwriter, and the benefit of that is that comes with mentoring. I wonder, Sarah, if there's something you want to say around how that works with mentoring.
Yeah, well, the mentoring is so valuable in terms of what it allows young people to develop and grow. So what we try and do is, once we get to know what that young person's particular talent is in terms of their particular genre of writing. We try really hard to match them with a current professional writer based in Cornwall, and that, as Sophie has said, can go anything from political journalism right through to screen and television writing. And those young people get about 4 hours worth of mentoring over a period of time. And again, it's really flexible because with all of our mentoring, we try to make sure that we fit that around the young person. It isn't just a sort of standardized program that it has to be done in a particular set of months. There's often flexibility depending upon the need of that young person and the practicality of delivery. So it's a really super flexible process.
Amazing. We'll come on to some of the things that grant can fund as well in the next few slides. We'll just touch on, we've also got the Spirit of Trevithick Award, which is our award for STEM, so science, technology, engineering and maths. So this is for 16 to 23-year-olds, and you can get £2,000 and again mentoring. And Sarah, I don't know if you want to say anything in particular about the mentoring you get for the STEM round.
It's a very similar sort of process in that we take our time to make sure that we get the right mentor for that young person. They tend to be people who are working within Cornwall-based industries or have got a particular entrepreneurial skill, either as an individual or as a company. And again, it's up to about 4 hours worth of time. That some of our mentors are very generous and do give a little bit more, but the sort of minimum that we ask is about 4 hours. And again, it can be spread out over a period of time, reflecting on the fact that for a lot of those young people, their developmental journey is not necessarily linear. It could happen around all sorts of other things that are happening as well.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. So moving on, we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into the All Talent Award. So this is really helping young people across Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. Always include the Isles of Scilly when we say Cornwall here. So that's demonstrating outstanding talent in their particular field. So typically that's sports or arts, and the issues that they're struggling to achieve their ambition because they haven't got the finances available. So that's what we're here to do. With the Creative Writing Award, it's that mentoring edition that you don't get in the All Talent. It's really focusing on next generation of writers or current generation of young writers. And that is mentoring and £1,000 of funding, and really helping to foster young people's skills, their potential, their career development, helping them to really achieve the best that they can be.
There's also £150 of the books as well.
We haven't included that in the slides, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you, Sarah. So yeah, we're really nurturing that potential and helping people to achieve their ambitions and goals. And again, with the Spirit of Trevithick, we've got that mentoring alongside funding for science, technology, engineering and maths projects. Let's get through this. So straight to who can apply. So for the All Talent Award, you must be 14 to 23 years old, a resident of Cornwall or the Isles of Scilly, so you want to be living here in order to be eligible, and you've got to be recognised for your exceptional talent. So by that we mean that you really are noted, that you're going places, you're training for the Olympics. Francis, I wonder if you want to give us some more examples about what we mean by exceptional talent.
Yeah, so we're really looking for those young people who are really at the top or getting to the top, or especially those who could get to the top but haven't been able to get to the top because they haven't had the funding to get there. So ideally, if you're a musician, you might be at grade 7 or working towards grade 8, or if you're a sports person, you probably at least be playing for a team, Cornwall as a county, on a national level, and yeah, if you're at an international level, and that's brilliant as well. But we do also recognise that some people haven't had those opportunities because they've not had the funding behind them to make that happen. So, but we're looking for exceptional. Exceptional is the word.
Great, Thank you, Frances. So alongside your application form, you should be able to produce 2 recent references. So someone that can basically vouch for the fact that you are that exceptional talent and that you are going places and that this fund would really unlock that full potential for you. So that could be another mentor or a coach or someone that really knows just how fantastic you are and can sing your praises.
I might just say as well, Sophie, on that one, the more specific the references are, the better, because when it comes to making decisions, the panels really do use the references as a guide. So someone who can speak to the journey that the young person has been on, and talk to the experiences of struggling to try to get to help in terms of financial help and that sort of thing, and how much of a difference that's going to make, are going to really help. So it's an important part of the application.
Thank you, Frances. Important clarification. We also want you to be able to show that the project or activity would bring benefit to the wider community, to Cornwall, or to give you personal fulfilment, and that you're prepared to be an ambassador for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. I don't know if you want to expand a little bit more on that, Frances or Sarah, and what we mean by that.
Yeah, Sarah, do you want to go ahead?
Well, I suppose what we realise is that this is a network that strengthens the opportunities for young people, and if other young people can see themselves in the way that other young people are achieving, that's really important. So we want those other young people to be able to go into assemblies or perhaps into their local scout groups, or just spread that word around the opportunities that we have. I think they can be the most incredible force to make sure that those young people, their social networks are incredible, but really helping us make sure that we reach as many young people as possible to understand that these opportunities exist. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Sarah. So I'll move us on to creative writing. So for this one, it's starting at 16 up to 23. And we do say that your age will be taken into account when assessing applications. Again, you have to be a resident of Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly, so you have to be living here. And you must be a talented writer. And for this round, you're able to produce 1 recent reference. So again, that's a tutor or a coach or someone that really understands the quality of your writing. You obviously want to be looking for mentoring as well as that financial support, because that's what this programme is offering. And you should be able to show your passion and determination through a personal statement, which is 500 words. So hopefully, if you're a talented writer, that's a great opportunity for you to flex your skills. And again, prepared to be an ambassador for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. So optional here we have is that being able to demonstrate your ability by producing a sample of your work. So that's nothing, sings your praises higher than the work itself. So if you're able to produce a short sample, which is up to 500 words, that supports your application greatly. Frances and Sarah, anything else you want to chime in on that?
I would say the personal statement is really valuable, because it gives the panel opportunity to see where a young person might want to develop their writing, and that awareness from the young person is is valued by the panel, because that's where they can contribute and where they see they can contribute to development of the writing of the young person. So it's an important bit of the application, definitely.
And they don't need to know exactly what it is that they want to do. In terms of it, they don't have to have a fully formed novel ready to go. It's very much about just an opportunity to develop. So those young people don't need to feel that they're looking for somebody to immediately match a project that's ready. It's very much about helping them to form as writers, and the process of mentoring allows that young person very often to change an idea that they might have had at the beginning, to develop it to do something else that possibly they hadn't thought about at the beginning. So it's very much, you know, coming at it with an open opportunity rather than this is something that's very clear and this is what I want to do. It can be hinted at developmentally.
So I'll move us on to the Spirit of Trevithick Award. So that actually says 14, but it's 16. Apologies for that mistake. Ignore the slide. 16 to 23-year-olds. Again, you have to be a resident of Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. You have to be a talented young innovator within STEM. So that's science, technology, engineering, maths. You have to be able to produce one recent referee, which again is a mentor, a teacher, someone that knows your exceptional talent in this field, that sees your potential. You have to be looking for mentoring as well as the financial support. Again, prepared to be an ambassador for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. And then the optional extra is that you can submit an additional document explaining the idea that you're looking to explore. Maybe that would include a drawing just to help bring that to life. Sarah and Francis, don't know if you might have a recent example of kind of successful application that looking at additional document in particular.
Yeah, we can both talk about this. It's so exciting. But I think I'll just say you don't have to come with a fully formed idea. We're looking for the spark, the potential, the fact that you are inquisitive, the fact that you want to explore the world. And we know that this world is changing so fast. It's not about coming with a fully formed thing that you want funding for to create. It's about how you might use this as an opportunity to develop your thinking. So, for example, there was a young man who recently was successful, who very interested in geology and also environmental engineering, had been recently to a careers day, I think, and met someone who was at Cornish Lithium or Cornish Metals talking about the use of Minecraft in surveying. And it was something that immediately blended two of the worlds that he was very interested in, to do with games development and also environmental impact for Cornwall. And actually through the award, what he's been able to do is look at how that's being used within some of the kind of new fields of surveying that's happening right now. So talking to those professionals, but he's going to be using his award to actually go to an international conference in Austria to look at the digital development of creative tools. So it's a really interesting and flexible approach. We've had a young woman who went to an international mining conference in Las Vegas because she was really wanting to explore the impact of mining in Cornwall and wanted to understand how that was going to change in the future. But that was something that was arrived at through the mentoring. It wasn't, I know exactly what I want to do. It's that process. And I think most importantly, the panel, I don't know whether you think about this too, Francis, but the panel are really interested in that spark. It's also, I want to just stress, it's not about academic achievement. They're not looking for grade 9s in everything. They are looking for your potential to explore and inquire. And that's far more important than somebody who's got grade 9s in everything. We had one young person who I think is applying at the moment, had a recommendation from a teacher who can rebuild outboard motors, but might struggle within the context of a formal academic route. But actually, this is about how we support all of our young people.
I'd reiterate that, Sarah, and certainly the panel are really interested in a wide breadth of different interests as well. So, yeah, looking at how they fit together within the package of a young person. So,
and everything from sort of marine biology right through to geology, and I think this is what's so fascinating about this award, is that it has a real creativity to it. And I think that blend, although we've not put an A in for arts, there was a big discussion about STEAM as well as STEM. So I would encourage anybody out there to really think about how they can bring their creativity to this area too.
Great. Exciting. It's a relatively new fund for us, isn't it? So great seeing all these new projects coming to life. Great. So what will the fund cover? We've covered this to a little bit, but maybe just to go into a bit more detail. So looking at the All Talent Award, you could apply for equipment that's relevant for your talent. That could be activity costs, so that could be competition fees, travel, accommodation, things that is particularly relevant to your talent, training costs, any specialist clothing that you need, and then any other cost really that's associated with achieving your full ambitions in your talented field. Francis, anything else you feel like we want to add there, or is that covering up?
Yeah, no, that's a pretty comprehensive. I think the one thing to say around the exclusions of funding is that it won't generally fund education, sort of general ongoing education costs, so university fees or ongoing music lessons if you're a musician. It's more that the fund is trying to make a difference in a step change in a more fundamental way than just paying the ongoing costs. So that's something to bear in mind.
Thanks, Francis. And then onto creative writing, very similar. You've got your equipment costs, activity costs, that could be workshop fees, travel, accommodation, IT equipment, and then any other sort of costs associated with that talent. Francis or Sarah, anything else you want to add to that list?
Yeah, well, we've got lots of interesting ideas for using the funding. People wanting to go to workshops, writing workshops, Edinburgh Fringe, someone went to last year, retreats for writers, so renting a glamping pod to go and do some soul searching. I'm sure you can think of many more, Sarah.
Yeah, well, we've even had a young one walk the Camino. Through her mentor, she was talking about how to develop ideas, and how her mentor said, well, I do lots and lots of walking, and then I have a process of reflection. This is my kind of rigor as a writer. And so what she did is she decided that she was going to do something that she really, really had always wanted to do, set herself a challenge. And so I think we paid for some camping equipment, I think, out of the fund. But it is absolutely relevant to the thing that she was doing. And we've had young people who, went to a London publishing fair. So we were able to pay for train fare, accommodation. Somebody went to the press gallery at the House of Lords. So there's all sorts of ways. And I think, again, because this is developmental, working with your mentor to say, almost come at this and go, how can we it's a process of royal jelly almost, sort of how can we really grow the thing that is really brilliant about you? And having that flexibility is one of the absolutely fundamental things about this award. It's just so flexible.
Fantastic. Makes me wish that I was young enough and talented enough to apply. Great. And then finally, the STEM award. So this is looking at costs towards developing a project. It could be a piece of equipment within the area of STEM. Could be practical help with technical kit or software, or any other costs. I think in the picture there we've got 3D printer, which was purchased by previous applicants. So yeah, a whole range of things that could cover. Francis and Sarah, anything else you want to add to this section?
I'll let you talk, Sarah. You
Oh, I just get blown away by so many of our young people in terms of, and I think what's interesting is that it can change in terms of the request. It could be a very simple thing, such as they need a particular piece of camera equipment or a particular piece of measuring equipment, right through to you want to go to Las Vegas to the International Mining Festival. Okay. And I think, these are the sorts of opportunities that are life-changing that we're looking at. And actually life-changing might be, I need to go to London. And for a young person that's never perhaps gone from Cornwall to London, that is life-changing. And I think this is the sort of beauty of the support that we're able to give within the mentoring, and Francis and I as well, that those kind of conversations can happen at the right moment. And I think, you know, some young people don't perhaps access the grant until nearly at the very end of the award, because actually they've spent time with their mentor, and then they know. We had a young person go to Norway, didn't we, to research their Viking fantasy fiction novel, and went to go and visit lots of museums in Norway, which I thought was brilliant. You know, so again, it can. But I had another young person who actually just needed a laptop, that because actually at home mum had a phone, but they didn't have anything that they could access to work on once they were out of school. So again, you know, it's really flexible. And I just want to reiterate again, for the Creative Writing Award, again, it's not about grade 9s. This is about, you know, the inherent talent that you have, and that can be lyrics and songwriting as much as it can be, you know, I'm going to be the next J.K. Rowling. So
Great. Thanks so much, both. So just going back to practicalities in terms of the timeline. So we've got the online application is due by the end of July, but I would say that we do run this round, it's twice a year, isn't it? So if you feel like you haven't got your ducks in a row for this time, then please do bear us in mind. Keep coming back to us in the new year. So
just to say, Sophie, the All Talent Fund tends to run twice a year. The creative writing tends to run once a year. STEM has run twice this year, and we're debating whether to run it twice again, aren't we? I think next year. But
clarification.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled on our website for future dates, and also make sure you're signed up to our website, because all that information, our website, our newsletter, all that information will come straight to you. So once you've filled in that application, that's sent to our assessors, and they will look through your application and maybe come back to you with a couple of questions if they feel like there's some information that would be helpful to your application. That is then sent to the panel. And the panel are the ones that decide. So you might well speak on the phone to Francis, but Francis is not the decision maker. He's just helping you to put your case together for the panel members to make that decision. And then you'll be told that decision, whether that's successful or unsuccessful. And if it's unsuccessful, we try our best to give you some constructive feedback. And then once you've had the grant, we then ask you to fill in a monitoring form. Sarah and Francis, anything else you want to add to this process?
Yeah, please do reach out to us if you've got any questions during the application stage. It's much easier to answer them then than try and chase things up once the applications come in.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
We're very happy to answer questions.
Yeah.
I've already gone over that process, so I'll skip that page. And then we're coming on to the application form itself. So as standard, we'll ask for your information about who you are, where you live, your contact information, and just checking date of birth just to make sure that you are eligible. And then we've got specific questions depending on whether it's all talent, STEM, or creative writing. So Francis, I wonder whether would it be helpful for you to talk us through this, because you're the one that actually looks at the form on the inside?
Yeah. I mean, the questions are designed to be pretty self-explanatory, and we just ask that you can put in as much detail as you can that's useful, because the detail is really what helps the panel make the decision. We ask for information around things like family circumstances and financial circumstances, because those are real key priorities for the fund to target the funding to where it's most needed. So please try to put as much information as you can into those areas, and it really does help. I mean, if there are any questions that we have in the process of application, we will come back to you. Our assessors are all trained to gather information, all the important information, and they will know what sort of information is going to help fill out the report that goes to the panel. So you may get a call from one of our assessors during the process just to ask you a few extra questions, so that that's available. I think that's it. Can you think of anything else, Sarah?
Just that our assessors are lovely. They're really nice.
They're wonderful.
And we've drawn people who have got a knowledge of a particular area and understand the challenges of Cornwall. So it's not trying to catch you out in any way. It's absolutely trying to sort of find out as much as possible about you and your talent from people who understand the challenges of trying to grow that talent. So we really are blessed with some fantastic assessors who really do take that time, very often, you know, really getting to know that person in a way that's sort of really helpful for the panel to make a clear decision.
Great. Thank you both. And then I'd also add to that, if you do get an unsuccessful decision back, that's no reflection on you and your talent and how worthy you are of support. It's just because we're always oversubscribed. So please don't be disheartened. Do come back to us again. So yeah, finally in those application forms, there's just a bit of a tick list at the end, just to make sure that you've submitted those references that we mentioned earlier. And for the creative writing, that optional excerpt of your work. And then for the STEM, you do have that option of submitting an additional document explaining what your the idea is that you'd like to explore.
Sophie, I'm just going to add that in terms of all talent, we do have the option to upload video and photos and things like that. And sometimes for a lot of those young people where there perhaps isn't a more formal acknowledgement of the talent that they've got, I'm thinking about some of our young musicians who might not necessarily have a grade that reflects their ability or skill. It could be that they want to submit a track or a link to Spotify or something, or even a short video of them dancing, something that helps us understand, you know, the level that you're working at and really celebrates where you are in terms of your talent.
That's a really good point, Sarah. It's sometimes very hard to describe on paper how much of a fantastic dancer you are. So if you can show us dancing, then we'll know.
We love it. We love seeing those because it really does. We kind of go, wow, we didn't know that this person could do that. And that's really exciting. So we do like seeing that very much.
Great. So coming towards the end of the slides, hopefully it hasn't been death by PowerPoint for you, but important to remember that you really have to show your talent in the best way you can. So clear and purposeful references can help here, but as Sarah said, photos, video, any other evidence that you are happy to provide always makes the case as best you can. And then, as well as demonstrating how fantastically talented you are, you also need to be clear about what would be beneficial for you receiving this funding and mentorship. So really focusing on the impact that that would have to you in your life and also your community around. So we just wanted to have a little check-in, just to say that we've got a gala event coming up this year, which is celebrating our 20 years of Young and Talented. And Sarah, I think maybe you want to give us a little lowdown.
I'll talk about this one.
Yeah.
It is, as Sophie said, our 20th year. So we are celebrating in style in that we are on the 17th of November, we are going to put together a performance working with our alumni. So young people that have already received an award some of them over the last 20 years. And we've commissioned 2 new pieces of work. One is a piece of dance and performance and another is a piece of music, where again, we're bringing together and celebrating the talents of the young people that we've supported. We're also going to use this as our opportunity to present the awards of the young people who are applying in this round. So you will be, hopefully, if you're successful, able to join us as part of the audience on that evening. And again, it's a really important thing. We're going to have 200 young people in the audience who aren't going to be grant recipients that evening, but we're inviting us as our guests to again say, look at the opportunities that we have. these are young people that are just like you. And if you have that talent, if you're really good at singing in your bedroom and are absolutely going to be the next Beyonce or whatever, come and share that talent with us, and, hopefully instill that little bit of aspiration and a little bit of courage that's often needed, and recognition to apply to our fund. We desperately want to know about those fabulous talents that you have, and this is an opportunity for us to celebrate it.
Great, thanks, Sarah. Looking forward to that event. We've already spoken some of that.
Yeah.
Just to wrap things up in terms of the presentation, and reiterate that we are on hand to support you. We've got Shannon's details here, so usually it would be Shannon sat here giving the presentation, but she wasn't feeling very well today, which is why you've been lumped with me instead. So Shannon's contact details are there. You can always book in for a session with her to have a chat. She's our community outreach officer, so that's her role, to make sure that she's available and reaching out to communities who typically wouldn't have opportunities to apply for funding at CCF. And then also Francis is our grants officer that looks after the programme. So he's always a very friendly, smiley face at the end of the phone. So please do reach out if you'd like to ask any questions. And as Francis said, easier to answer questions as you're completing the application form rather than after you've done it. So please keep in touch. Let's see if we've got any more slides. We're on to questions. So I will stop the recording there. And